Hello and welcome to We Learn. This is session 6 of Marketing of Services, Service Quality. Topics to be covered: Introduction, reason for the different approaches to service quality models, benefit of service quality to the organization, measuring the service quality, communication with the customers about the service quality. Introduction. Quality comes to the service literature at the beginning of 1950s. In the 20th century, especially the second half, increased the global competition forced many manufacturing companies to develop and adapt the quality management practices aimed at increasing the competitiveness by eliminating the waste, increasing the efficiency, reducing the cost, improving the customer satisfaction, and involving every member of the organization in doing so. In terms of when the services marketing comes into a picture, well, the service marketing is not as much as adoptable in the scenarios of 1980s, but yes, they were the larger companies who were adopting the service concept and giving the benefits, giving the discounting to the consumers, eliminate the waste, increase the efficiency, reduce the cost. These kind of things was actually comes into a picture in 1980s. Yes, in terms of the quality is also comes in that pace because companies start taking steps to improve their quality. Reason behind the quality of services, improve their qualities, and behind this the biggest reason is the competition, because they have to compete in the market, or that competition will require this kind of things. They actually force the organization to come with that concept in the market. So in that case, yes, the service quality is a kind of a thing we can say that's a kind of the thing which is required at that time. So what is the basic meaning of service quality? Service quality as perceived by the customer can be defined as the extent of discrepancy between the customer expectation or the desire and their perception. It's all about how the consumers or the customers are taking our company, our product in their mind, in terms of कि वो किस तरीके की expectation rise करता है from the product. At the same time, what kind of a desire or what kind of a thinking they have about the organization. That thinking, that desire, that expectations will actually set an employee, or yes, at the same time, at the same point of the time, these things actually influence our customers कि वो एक concept service related अपने आप में create करें. According to that concept, the challenge is there that the company has to fulfill that concept. कंपनी को वो concepts या जो भी उसने एक perception या imagination create की होती है उसे fulfill करना, again it is the role of a company. So in that terms, yes, we can say that the understanding the perceptions or the viewpoint or beliefs of each other, that comes into the service quality. Quality is whatever the customer says it is, and the quality of a particular product. When it comes to define the quality, it is little difficult to define the quality. Quality every time quality differs, or it maintain the another standard in the front of the other person. In terms of जितने different लोग होंगे उतनी ही ज़्यादा services से related different preferences होंगी. In that terms, quality is whatever customers say it is, and the quality of a practical product in terms of कि जिस भी तरीके से customers को बताया जाता है, जिस भी तरीके से customers say yes about that particular product, then the quality is served. Service quality is basically a delivery of excellence or the supervisor's success relatively to the customer's expectations. In terms of this is what the service kind of a thing which is delivered to the excellent level. It is required to be provided. It is required to be delivered at the excellent level. If it's not required at the excellent level, through this the satisfying the expectation of the consumer, yes, at the same time identifying the consumer needs is a little difficult. Another is the quality of a services as perceived by the customer is the result of the comparisons but between the expectations of the company and his real life in terms of what he kind to be expected and what his real life owes to. That is what also the desire part, and that term it is required to be include in the quality of services. That means should be kind of कि अगर ट्रेडिशनली ऐसा होता था तो ट्रेडिशनली अगर ये सारे कॉन्सेप्ट थे तो इन दैट केस येस इन टुडेज मार्केट दीज आर द मेन फीचर्स एंड द कॉन्सेप्ट. Then other is what are the reasons for the different approaches to the service quality. Service quality के अंदर क्यों different रीजन्स को अडॉप्ट किया जाता है या क्यों डिफरेंट सर्विस क्वालिटीज़ को अडॉप्ट किया जाता है. इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट द सर्विसेज आर प्रीडोमिनेंटल इंट्रीगल इन नेचर. अगर वो प्री इंट्रीगल्स नेचर में हैं एंड दे वर एक्चुअली इन टर्म्स ऑफ गेटिंग द मेजर इंटरनेट power, or the services are predominantly intangibility in nature. So in that case, another very important aspect about the requiring the separate treatment of the service quality is in the inseparable aspect of the company, because you can't separate it. That means yes, this is what key organization can provide the kind of services to bring out the all the things equalized, but yes, when it comes to recognize or bringing the service in the particular department, it should be like kind of defining the specific one. Another concept is services are heterogeneous in nature. That means yes, every time and a service provider giving the different services to the consumer. That means every service is different from the another service. As we understand from the previous diagram also, which is like there is always a production and consumption. That means good is transfer in that. This gap is what exactly a service gap, जिसको हम लोग सर्विस इनकाउंटर बोलते हैं. जहाँ सर्विस इंटेंजिबिलिटी की वजह से एक सर्विस इनकाउंटर यहाँ पर होता है. दैट मीन्स दैस इट हैज़ एन अ डिफरेंट अप्रोच. सर्विस क्वालिटी हमेशा डिफरेंट हो जाती है ड्यू टू इट्स इंटेंजिबिलिटी फैक्टर. सेम एज दूसरा फैक्टर होता है उसका हेट्रोजीनियस होना. दी service performed may vary from producer to producer from the same service, from customer to customer, even with the same product. In terms of same product को हम अलग customer को अलग तरीके से provide करवा सकते हैं, and yes at the same time same producer providing or producer was given the different kind of services of one kind of product, and yes from day to day for the service producer, and yes there was a different of day to day factors also. Another is theme about the service quality. Theme about the service quality is basically stating that what kind of theme or what kind of concept the services must provide, because yes it is one of the biggest challenge to the organization to bringing out the service quality. So in that case, the first highlighting theme which is given, service quality is more difficult for the consumer to evaluate than the goods quality. Yes, that's very obvious, because consumers इतनी जल्दी एक सर्विस की क्वालिटी को अंडरस्टैंड नहीं कर सकता है, जबकि गुड्स की सर्विसेज को बहुत अच्छे से अंडरस्टैंड कर सकता है. सर्विस quality evaluate are not more solely on the basis of the outcome of the services. They also involve of process of the service delivery. That means they were basically dealing about the quality evaluations, and they were basically depending upon the outcome of the services. But yes, at the same time they were not working on the process of the service delivery. Service quality, whereas perception result from the comparisons of the customer's expectations with the actual service performance. That means what kind of the customer have the expectations according from your product. That is what the customer expectation with the actual service performance. Now this is the service quality model. Like we all know that there were the complex nature, and yes at the same time the consumer judge the service qualities is very difficult to judge. So in that case, number of the researchers has been done on the area and the models, and has been developed to explain the nature of the service quality evaluation. However, two major work which was worked according to that cases, with two major areas which is worked according to that cases, they were actually the two models. जिसमें से सबसे पहला मॉडल है ग्राउंड रूट्स का. ग्राउंड रूट्स was basically suggested that कि quality of an services as it is perceived by the customer has a two dimensions. इसके खुद two dimensions होती हैं. एक is the technical part which is like kind of what the customer get, and the another is the functional part. That means terms of that what kind of a function that person is looking for. So वो दोनों कॉन्सेप्ट यहाँ पर होते हैं. टेक्निकल क्वालिटी भी होती है और फंक्शनल क्वालिटी भी, क्योंकि हम लोग एक टेक्निकल डायमेंशन को देख रहे हैं और दूसरा फंक्शनल डायमेंशन को. एज वी सी इन दी पिक्चर ऑल्सो, expected quality or experienced quality, they do both have a total perceived quality. That means जो consumer perceive कर रहा है. In that terms एक image create होती है बीच में. जब एक experienced quality बनती है तो definitely there was an image was created by the customer, and this image was directly conducted by technical and functional. That means technical in terms of what, फंक्शनल क्वालिटीज टर्म्स ऑफ हाउ, यानी कि क्या और क्यों से एक इमेज क्रिएट होती है, दैट इज एक्सपीरियंस्ड. एंड यस एट द सेम टाइम the expected quality, what you or what the consumer is actually looking for is the expected quality, so which affect the market communication, image, word of mouth and consumer needs. So in that term, yes, perceived service quality can be defined as the extent of the discrepancies between the customer expectation or desire and their perception. That means they were basically stating that what kind of discrepancies the customer expectation and desires have. That means जो gap होता है service providing का in terms of that the buyer always have a certain expectations and buyers are unable to fulfill that expectation, that would lead to the no for that particular services. But yes, at the same time, this is the one thing जहाँ पर एक कंपनी सबसे ज़्यादा काम करती है, जहाँ पर जिसे रिजॉल्व करना ही सबसे बड़ा एस्पेक्ट कंपनी का होता है. सो परसीव सर्विस क्वालिटी इज इक्वल टू परसीव सर्विस माइनस एक्सपेक्टेड सर्विस. तो परसीव सर्विस क्वालिटी का बेसिकली एक फॉर्मूला है जो कि परसीव सर्विस माइनस एक्सपेक्टेड सर्विसेज होता है. What are the based on the research work, they identify that the customers consider the 5 dimensions in their assessment of the service quality. That means this is what the any kind of a 5, they were the 5 dimensions जो कि एक सर्विस क्वालिटी को डिफाइन करने के लिए स्टेटअप किए गए हैं, यानी कि जिसके बिहाफ पर एक सर्विस क्वालिटी को डिसाइड करना थोड़ा सा आसान हो जाता है. First is the reliability. Reliability, that means what kind of reliability a consumer have upon the product. कितनी ज़्यादा एक reliability existing या modified product पर generate हो सकती है. After getting that reliability, another is responsiveness. Responsiveness in terms of how quickly a worker can be respond, कि वो किस तरीके से कैसे respond करेगा. And then another is the assurance. What kind of an assurance you are providing? What kind of a benefit you are providing to the consumer? After that insurance, there were the empathy. Empathy is what how a company can generate their issues, generate their solve their problems, solve their issues, and yes, at the same time how they will basically generate the empathy to the consumer. And yes, at the same time the tangibility. It is required to provide certain kind of tangibility to the product. अगर आपके प्रोडक्ट के पास टेंजिबिलिटी नहीं हो, आपके प्रोडक्ट के पास जो है वो सिर्फ टेंजिबिलिटी है, इंटेंजिबिलिटी नहीं है, तो इट मे क्रिएट प्रॉब्लम. Or it could be like service product, there was no services, you are not utilizing that services. In that scenario, you are actually considering not considering the factors. But yes, at the same time, that service required the kind of we can say that the any kind of evidence, any kind of proof to show the intangibility. Then the reason for the gap between the customer perceptions and expectations were identified. This is the another model which is was considered as a gap model, and they were the 4 models: gap 1, gap 2, gap 3. And this model is basically stating the same thing, that is there was the certain kind of factors which affect the services and the qualities of services. So now this is the full-fledged diagram of the service in terms of, yes, there are always the expected service. और वो expected service हमारे consumers की बनती कैसे है? सबसे पहले by providing them word of mouth communication. After that, inviting that word of mouth communication, another is the Another is the person needed, in terms of what kind of a person you need it. Suppose in tomorrow's in any kind of function or any kind of organizing the service, so word of mouth is what a kind of discussion was arises about the service, about the event. And yes, at the same time, there was one leader or the one person which is going to be aware all the factors. And then another is the past experience, that means what kind of a past experience that person have. And yes, at the same time, the this three things made expected sale. This expected sale create the perceived services. Then this perceived services basically followed as the service delivery. Service delivery is in terms of कि आप किस तरीके से सर्विस को प्रोवाइड करवाएंगे. Another is translation of presentation into the service quality and specialized outreach, that means providing the services. And yes, at the same time, the another is gap of the perceptions of the consumers expectation. आपके जो consumer expectations है उसके हिसाब से you were actually providing the perceptions, or you were trying to creating the perception. These all things cannot be worked when there were no a fourth gap. This is what the excellent communication to the customers. आप जब customers के साथ interact करते हो, then automatically you get a certain feedback. You inform the high level or inform the top management of your organization, and finally company, and then the customers. So what are the benefits of the service quality models? The first is the lack of marketing research, lack of marketing research orientation, educate level of consumers, and the Indian value level of management. Another is the management, which is what trade to reduce the GAP, that was the commercial skills, was customs and conduct the marketing research, encourage the upwards and downwards communication. On it could be in the gap 2 in educate measurement, commitment of the survive quality, perceptions of authorities. And yes, at the same time, advantages of goal setting, advantages of customer divine, and yes, Akshadham. And then finally the consumers divining standard and the resources constrained. Another is the top management commitments, developing service quality goals, standardization of tasks, address the feasibilities of consumers expectation. Gap 3 is defense in the human service policy, failure to match the supplies and demand, customers not fully rolled, teamwork, enrollment roles, clarities and training, synchronize the demand and capacity, communicating with the customers. In gap 4, the overpromise, ineffective management of customer expectations, inadequate horizontal communication, avoid the prioritize on to the overpromise, increase the horizontal communication in managing the customer expectations. What are the benefits of service quality to the organization? It basically help in working the improvement of efforts. अगर आप एक अच्छी तरीके की क्वालिटी प्रोवाइड करते हैं तो उससे प्रॉपर इम्प्रूवमेंट होती है, सर्विस क्वालिटी इम्प्रूवमेंट होती है, प्रिसाइड सर्विस क्वालिटी एंड कस्टमर सेटिस्फैक्शन राइज होती है, कस्टमर रिटेंशन होती है, रेवेन्यू और मार्केट शेयर होता है, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी होती है. That service quality and improvement lead to the cost reduction. कंपनी की कॉस्ट रिडक्शन हो रही तो वो डायरेक्टली प्रॉफिट इंक्रीज करती है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, अगर परसीव सर्विस क्वालिटी और कस्टमर सेटिस्फैक्शन राइज होती है तो ऑटोमेटिकली वर्ड ऑफ माउथ आता है. वर्ड ऑफ माउथ अगर कंपनी का आ रहा है तो अटेंशन ऑफ न्यू कस्टमर आएगा, एंड देन दैट न्यू कस्टमर वाज लीडिंग टुवर्ड्स द रेवेन्यूज एंड मार्केट शेयर. Another is the CEO view on the benefits of service quality. That means yes, it is what this is what exactly giving the benefits or giving that practical examples who were actually inviting and getting the benefits of the companies who were actually using the quality services or service quality. सबसे पहले है the Oberai's hotel chain, it is what that chain is basically was providing the qualities of monitoring all the time, and yes, at the same time not enough on how to improve it. So Visya Bank is what the main objective of the TQM driver is to achieve the maximum possible customer satisfaction and employees satisfaction, because only and happy staff members will be there. And then other is HDFC. HDFC is the again the organization who are using the service quality, which is basically of giving the nature and the quality of the service will determine our reception in the market in terms of defining the nature and quality of the person. Now, how can we measure the service quality? The most widely used measure of the service quality has been scroll. स्क्रोल ही सबसे बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट डिवाइस है जो कि सर्विस क्वालिटी को मेजर करता है, अकॉर्डिंग टू विच द कस्टमर असेसमेंट ऑफ द वेरियस सर्विस क्वालिटी रिजल्ट फ्रॉम a comparisons of the services expectations and the actual performances. That means the person is actually using on the actual performances and service qualities. Then yes, they were first published in 1988, and they were actually working on that area, that how we can could be the customer assistant, किस तरीके से customer की help होगी, and then at the same time the another is the service expectations by the company. In that scale of the scale which can be used, it was basically to determine a company's service quality along with the each of 5 service quality dimension. जितनी भी service qualities होती हैं उनके हिसाब से उन्हें define करना, उन्हें understand करना, at the same time to find out the relative importance of the service quality की ultimate importance क्या है, how they were actually performing, and then finally to bringing out the to compete overall weighted sequel score to take, or we can say that the overall weighted score which take into the account of the relative importance, and yes, at the same time reach the dimension as well. Another is to track the customers about the expectation and perceived customer time, and yes, at the same time the company to compare the company's scroll since or scroll the scores against those of the comparison. Then the other methods which actually help into getting that MIS is the transaction strategy system or survey, or complementary solicitation and agriculture analysis. Another is mystery shopping, ask customer intermediaries. So communication with the consumers about the service quality की किस तरीके से एक communication हो सकती है. सबसे पहले discuss the service, its scope, its ability, its timeliness. You have to define the service. After that setting the show how much the service will rock in terms of it is what the kind of services was given to by the company to get the benefits from the market and generate that factors from the market. It is what by bringing out the better communication to the company. So describing the service, its scope and its ability and timely of the deliveries, and starting how much the service will be cost. Then explaining the interpersonals between the service deliveries and cost, and then customers the effective of the any problem and how they will be resolving they were arising, what kind of a problem was arising and how you were going to resolve it. Then ensuring the customers are aware of the contribution. Another, provide the educated readiness. Then bringing out the relationship between the services. Another is what they were suggesting that the communication services quality begins with understanding of importance of customer for the various accepted service quality, and in terms of focusing on most important dimensions of service quality will result in the more effective communication. That means you have to provide that service quality which is providing the more focused and good or effective communication area, And then another is when the making and operation interactions to create the internal communication, customer expectations are more realistic. Customer के expectations उतने ही बड़े हो जाते हैं, and they were basically on the way of advertising, and at the same time bringing out the future and good feature of actual employees, and the job is more effective in terms of performing that particular job. So yes, there are a few questions which you have to do it yourself. The first is what you understand by the service quality. Another is define the 5 dimensions of service quality. So this is all about for the today's session.